Once upon a time, there was a farmer who lived on the countryside. He wanted to plant some seeds in the land, and so he started scattering seeds. These seeds were no ordinary seeds, though, and they had life in them. Not the ordinary life of a plant, but they had eternal life. And as he was scattering his seeds on the land, they fell on 4 different types of ground. Some fell on the path, some fell on the rocky gravel, some on the weeds and thorns, and finally some fell on the good soil. This is the story of the path, the rocky gravel, the weeds and thorns, and the good soil. Hey, I'm Pat. Past few months, it's been a mess. My whole life's been a mess. But that's how it is, right? Actually, it's not fair at all. You know what? My whole life's been hard. I've seen it all. I've been through everything. I've seen everything. The other day I saw some soldiers patrolling the countryside with their horses and their swords, kicking up dust in the air. I've seen families move from villages to the city so they can find more money. A few months ago, I even saw this farmer. He was scattering seeds around me. Now, farming, that's a hard job. The responsibility of a farmer is to plant seeds in a plowed field. But on this particular day, this farmer was planting a different kind of seed. And the seed was eternal life in them. I mean, imagine that. Seeds with eternal life in them. Imagine what kind of improvements I can have in my own life with that kind of value. But that stuff's not for me. I don't have time to sit around and wait for some seeds to grow in my life. I mean, my life is hard. My life is fast. I'm a busy person, you know. I'm always on the road. It's chop, chop, busy, busy. Plus, I mean, I've made a few friends a few days ago, and they're a bunch of birds. And if they want to keep me company, I'm willing to give them all the seeds they want. I have no use for them anyways. I know what you're thinking. What about these seeds of eternal life? I mean, are you crazy? Like I said, that's not for me. I don't have time to stop and think about what the seeds of eternal life can do to me. I told you my life is fast. Life is tough. It's hard. I know what you're thinking. Like, are you crazy? And don't judge me, though. You don't know where I've been. You don't know my life. My whole life, people have been stepping all over me, trampling all over me, walking all over me. I used to be soft ground, aerated, able to soak up the water, and I used to have grass and wheat growing out of me. But in time, people just walked all over my life. I've had so much traffic in my heart, and over time, this soft skin became hard. But hey, I'm an important person, okay? You don't know me. I'm important. People are in need of me. Kings and princes have been in need of me. Can you say that? Well, villages are in need of me to get to the city and back. And without me, there is no communication between a region and the other. So if these seeds don't make sense to me, I'll just give them to the birds. Ask this guy. He was there. Hey, I'm Rocky. I'm a work in progress, okay? My life's been rough, but not as hard as Pat over here, right? He's a hardhead, huh, you know? But my life's been rough. I like to take the shortcuts in life. I mean, life's too short. It's too rough and tough to be just going through hoops all the time. If there's a faster and an easier way to get where I'm going, that's all where I'm at. I mean, life's too hard, and I don't want to endure any more hardships, you know? If there's a way that I don't have to do anything or commit myself to a lot or much, I'm all in. It's kind of like the time the farmer like Pat was talking about. I remember that day. He was scattering seeds around me too. Now, this farmer, like any other farmer, he had this leather pouch around his shoulder. And he would put his hand into the pouch and grab some seeds and scatter them as he walked. And these seeds were different. They had eternal life in them. I mean, think about that, eternal life in seeds. And I remember overhearing the farmer talking about how all my transgressions, my offenses to others and to God would be wiped away clean if I just let this seed grow inside of me. So I tried them out. I mean, who wouldn't, right? They're eternal life seeds. And over time, these scattered seeds on me, I started to see some benefits. And some green started to sprout out of me, and I felt some life in me. But after a little while, my life got a little uneasy, and I felt the turbulence. And I couldn't keep up with the growth of this seed. The sun was so hot, and the roots were trying to grow down, but I had a bunch of rocks down there, and you know, I like a lot of stuff, but I don't want to be involved in anything that makes me change the rocks in my life. I mean, I've been through a lot of hardships already. I don't want to endure any more hardships, okay? I mean, you don't know how it's like. You don't know how it's like to be dirty your whole life. You don't know how it's like to have bugs crawling on you your whole life. To have animals slipping and scraping on your skin your whole life. Not being able to soak up the water. Instead having moss grow on my face like blemishes or acne on my skin. So, you know, if that seed doesn't grow in me, it's not my fault. I just don't want to endure any more hardships in my life. You think I'm crazy. Talk to this guy over here. He's all over the place. Hey, I'm Thor. My life is great. I don't know about these guys. They're always struggling to grow and all that, but not me. I have life all year round, baby. And I'd like to think that they're jealous of me because, you know, every time they see me, they're all like, yeah, you're full of weeds, you're full of thorns, but I'm not complaining, you know. Nobody messes with me because no one can deal with me. I have these weeds in my perimeter to protect me, you know. I have the safety that I need. And I'm known worldwide for my infamous weeds. I have the fame of the whole world. You know, I remember that day the farmer came around. Yeah, he was a different type of farmer. He was sowing different types of seeds. I was interested in them. They're very interesting when he scattered them and some fell on me. And this farmer was different and he was sowing a different kind of seed, but I didn't think that the seed of eternal life would be so against what I was living for. I mean, I understand, you know, wholeness of life here on earth, being content, having a happy, blessed life, relationship with God and all that, but, you know, that kind of life is not for me, okay? I mean, I might look happy, I might look comfortable in my own shoes, but I've been through a lot of rough times too. I've been through a lot of hard times. And you don't know what it's like growing up being called weed or thorn face. It's not fun. And my life died when those weeds started growing in me. And I know I like to put on a facade about how I have what other people want, but I'm tired of not having what other people have. I don't want to endure through this seed. I mean, it's all about denying yourself, being challenged, being stretched, being tended to and cared for, pouring myself out, giving myself out to others. I mean, I've endured enough in my life. I don't want to be humble anymore. I'm tired of being humble and being made fun of. I mean, right now I have a nice life. Safety. I have fame. I have a wealth of weeds. I mean, if there's a way to get this seed to grow without doing much, I might consider it. But if that seed doesn't offer me safety, fame, or fortune, I'll just let my weeds take care of anything that sprouts up. I mean, that eternal life stuff, that's not for me. That's more for like this guy over here. Hi, I'm Soil. Life's been an adventure for me. I mean, I've lived a rough life too. I mean, life is just so unpredictable. As soldiers have pillaged me so that farmers couldn't use me anymore. Famine has struck me, dehydrated my skin, cracked my skin. Life's so unpredictable, it's so dynamic. But I've had a lot of hard times. People have walked all over me. Animals have fertilized me. Ugh. I have been manipulated so many times. Plows have ripped through my heart, and they planted different seeds in me. And I've had to endure vegetables that I didn't want. And anytime I produced anything, they would just take it away from me. And the hard part is, this happens every year. In the famine season, I am the most pitiable in the world. And I don't even get attention unless I have a good season. But I remember the day that the farmer came around. He was different. And those seeds were different. You see, he was sowing his seeds, and he would walk from one end of the plowed field and keep on walking until he got to the other side of the plowed field and turned around and went to the next column, and he would walk on and scattering his seeds. I remember it was a hot day. He was swatting at the bugs and wiping the sweat off his face. He left that day after he covered the whole area. And I'll never forget that moment I received that seed. My heart was soft. It was plowed. And I was ready to take on whatever that seed was that was introduced to me. And I began to consider what this seed could offer me. A true denying of myself, to focus on what that seed will become one day. And I found life by dying to my comfort, dying to the life that I knew, to once again being disciplined to become a crop that I was never fully aware of. The rains were sparsely coming down, and the farmer came and tended to me and took care of me on occasion. And in time, I realized that this life that I was giving for this seed was actually bringing life in me. And it was affecting the crops around me so much that the businesses in the cities would favor the other crops around me because they were next to me. And when the harvest season came, the farmer was so overjoyed that he brought his whole family around me, and they celebrated because I had become what he had wanted me to become. Such a great crowd gathered around him, and he got into a boat and sat there while the whole crowd stood on the beach. And he told them many things in parables, saying, "Listen, a sower went out to sow seeds. And as he sowed, some seeds fell on the path, and the birds came and ate them up. Other seeds fell on the rocky ground where they did not have much soil, and so they sprang up quickly since they had no depth of soil. But when the sun rose, they were scorched, and since they had no root, they withered away. Other seeds fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Other seeds fell on good soil and brought forth grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Let anyone with ears listen. Hear then the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches it away, what is sown in the heart. This is what was sown on the path. As for what was sown on the rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet such a person has no root, but endures only for a while. And when trouble or persecution arises on account of the word, that person immediately falls away. As for what was sown among the thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but the cares of the world and the lure of wealth choke the word, and it yields nothing. But as for what was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields, in one case 100-fold, in another 60, and in another 30.